This is the Domestic Draft Podcast. I'm Evan Bierman here with Dan Slowick. Today's guest with us is Big Dave Watson, a Chicago sports media personality. We're going to be discussing some recent Bulls moves, recapping the Bears-Seahawks game, and much more. Dan, how you been? We took a week off there for the holidays.
Good to see you. We took a week off. First week since we started doing this that we took off. It felt like an eternity since we've done one of these.
Seriously. So
yeah, I'm good.
Back home,
good.
Right?
Yeah, I'm back home in Chicago, Elgin. My parents are out in Elgin now, so I'm back home. Snowed today. That was actually nice. I heard you said, like, does it even snow if people don't post the first snowfall in Chicago? And I was one of those people that posted it, put the song in the background, and all my San Diego friends are like, what is that? Oh my God, I didn't know it snowed. But yeah, it's good to be home. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
What are you drinking, man?
So I got something new. As you know, I live in Logan Square, so Pilot Project Brewing's like my home base there. And they have a new brewery out of there called Funky Town that debuted in October. I've been digging this beer, but it's three friends, Richard Bloomfield, Zachary Day, and Gregory Williams. They were childhood friends. They decided in 2017 that they wanted to start home brewing with the goal of going pro, and they did. Through Pilot Project. I've mentioned Pilot Project before. It's a brewery incubator in Logan Square. So small time, like home brewers and stuff can, put out mass product and sell their beer through Pilot Project. So it's a pretty cool spot over there. Go check that out if you're near Logan Square. But Funky Town, through quality beer, eye-catching labels, representative messaging, music, and jokes, Funky Town introduces a fresh and creative perspective to the beer industry. Their beer names and labels reflect their taste in music, hip hop, and R&B. And it has a 1990s vibe, reflecting when they grew up as students at Oak Park and River Forest High School. So
shout out
Chicago.
Iman Shumpert.
Yeah, that's right.
Saw him play at the Pontiac Holiday Tournament. I was there, man. Him versus Brandon Paul. It was a game.
Yeah. So Funky Town, it's cool. It's, despite opening just this year, they're only one of only a handful of Black-owned breweries in Chicago. And the beer I have here is called Woo Wop Da Bam. Interesting name. Is a Chicago slang term that I had to look up myself, and I know Big Dave's laughing over there. He's probably a little bit more familiar maybe than me, but I don't know this term, and it's actually just like a term that you can use interchangeably with like etc. or yada yada yada, something like that. But this is an American amber ale. It's 5.6%, 3.77 on Untapped. It's got like toffee and banana notes. It's a cool story. Cool brewery. If you see it in the liquor store, pick it up. Great beer. So what are you drinking, Dan?
Nice, man. I am drinking in this brewery here. It's out in Huntley, Illinois. It's called So Hopped, SEW, like a sewing machine. So Hopped is the brewery name. And I'm out in my parents in Elgin and my brother in Santa Monica. We're both staying here, obviously, since we don't live here anymore. And we brewery hop. It's something we like to do. And we found this one and it looked really cool. It's got like a smokestack chimney out there. And actually it's located in an old sewing factory building. And they still actually manufacture sewing machines there. They're union special. It's one of the only manufacturers still of industrial sewing machines. And this building goes back, and the company goes back until 1881. So we walked in there and it's like this massive building. We're like, how long have you been brewing beer? Like, what's going on here? And they're like, yeah, it's like 400,000 square feet. There's indoor soccer field. There's like a wrestling gym. There's a sewing machine factory. And then, they went ahead and made a brewery in this like front entrance of it.
Wow.
So it's been around since the 1900s, a lot of history in the building. The brewery is very new, actually, though. It's only been around for 2 years. They persevered through being one of the only remaining sewing machine manufacturers in the United States. And they have a lot of really good beer. And I'm drinking one, and it's called Cherry Funnel Cake. And it's like a sour. It's a Berliner Weiss beer, but it tastes very sour forward. And it finishes with like that lactose marshmallowy kind of like flavor that a lot of those smoothie beers kind of have. And they got like the Ferris wheel on their label and everything. So it is kind of like that funnel cake cherry flavor. And of course, I poured it in the holiday Christmas present for my wife. That has our logo on it. So there we go, man. It's a 3.9 on Untapped as well. Cherry funnel cake from So Hop Brewery.
Solid. Sounds good.
It's not too bad. So let's get into it, man. Let's bring our only guest onto this episode. He is Big Dave. You've probably seen him on Twitter at Ball Sports or Instagram at Ball Sports. His Twitter bio, go ahead, and it says, Big Guy loves all. He's a co-host of Ball Ball on Bulls, co-host of Lockdown Bulls. He's also the host of OG Sports Culture and makes up 1/3 of the Bulls Outcast on Hot Mic. Big Dave, man, thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me. Y'all don't know this, but I am a fan of y'all's show.
Oh, really?
I am. I'm trying to remember when I became familiar with it. I think it's when you guys had Matt on, but I saw what you guys were doing as far as beer and sports, and I said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "That's what I do." Yeah, like so. And I checked that, and I told my guy Chris, who I do ball with, and I was like, "Dude, yeah, you got to check this show out. Like, it's really cool. They really talk like the same things that we do. Like, we just sit there and talk beer and pizza and sports."
Exactly,
I was like, it's what we do. So no, I think you guys have a great show, man. So when you guys asked me to be on, I was really excited, to be honest with you.
Oh,
Appreciate
awesome.
that,
Thank you
man.
so much
Those
for
are
coming
kind
on,
words.
man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't say that.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. So I think the first question we have for you is ball an acronym for something, or how did you get that nickname?
Oh man, well, first of all, it's you have to say it like Avery Johnson is saying it. So it's bow.
Wow.
You got it. Correct. Yeah. That's how it's pronounced. And it came about Chris and I years ago, which were searching for a name for the show that we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to do a show. We just couldn't come up with a name. And I'm a kind of person that once I have a name, I know where everything else goes. And so we didn't do the show for a while because I just couldn't figure out what the name was. And then one day it just smacked me in the face. I was like, wow. I was like, because we make loving fun of Avery Johnson and the way that he speaks all the time. You know, Derrick Rose, get the basket, bow. Pass the basket, bow. And so we will always do this voice all the time. And then it just hit me like, dude, ball, like, yo. And I told him, and he started laughing. And when Chris starts laughing, that means it's a good idea. And he started laughing. He was like, this is great. And I'm like, yes, this is perfect. We call it ball. And so that's how you have to say it, like, bow, like, you know, so with the infection of Avery Johnson, because we just have a loving affection for him and how he speaks. So that's where the name came from.
That's
hilarious.
Awesome. Yeah. Where is Avery Johnson? What is he doing now? He's no longer on TV. Is he coaching?
No, he was coaching at Alabama. But then he left there.
That's right.
And now he's on CBS. He does like stuff for CBS.
Okay. All right.
And things like, dude, I've been trying to get him on forever. I wanted to get him on the show. When I had Will Perdue on, that was literally my last question to him when I had him on the show. Like, can you please get Avery Johnson on the show? I know you played with him in San Antonio. Can you please get Avery Johnson on the show?
Right.
He said he knows him. He's going to try. I'm still holding Will to that. So yeah, I'm really trying to get Avery on the show. We used to do awards on the show called the Averys. You know what I'm saying? Like just good things that happen in sports and stuff like that, and give that away. So yeah, we're really trying to get Avery Johnson on the show, man, because he is the reason that we named it.
All right. I'm glad we cleared that up. I'm glad. So I've been following you for a while, and I think like if you're a Bulls fan, you're an account that every Bulls fan should follow.
Oh, thank you.
And it was pretty cool to see at the beginning of this year, you created a stat. You created it. Yeah, you brought public attention to the stat that Zach LaVine hadn't won 4 games in a row since UCLA. Yeah. And then once he did, and once that was starting to like happen, he won 4 games, and they're waiting for that 5th game. Everybody started to kind of say your stat. Some gave you credit, some didn't. I remember watching the game, and Adam Amin gave you a shout out. I'm like, oh, there it is, like shout out on the broadcast. And it kind of went viral. How did that feel to have something like you like shed light on and spotlight it that was a stat, and then have it go viral like that? What'd that feel like?
It was weird. and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I had the stat, and I don't know what made me think to look it up, but I just did. And I was just looking at some numbers on Zach LaVine. I just kept seeing all these L's next to his name, you know, for all these wins. Cause you know, he didn't do a lot of winning, you know, early in his career. And then I was like, man, I wonder if he's won 2 games in a row or something. And I was like, oh, he's won 2. I was like, oh, he won 3. Oh, there's 3. I wonder if he's won 4. Okay, no. Okay, no. Okay. Wait, what? I was just really flabbergasted. So when I discovered it, I went on this, and I discovered it years before it even, you know, hit that viral thing. I would say it on anything I was on, you know, when I was doing Bulls Outsiders. I've said it on there, I don't know how many times. When I would do my podcast or Ball on Bulls, I was saying it on there all the time. I tweeted it out a few times, you know what I'm saying, that it had to happen. I think it wasn't until I was doing the show with Ricky O'Donnell, the awesome Ricky O'Donnell.
Yeah.
I was on a podcast with him, and I said it then. And he was like, wait, what? And I was like, no, it's true. Like, he has not won 4 in a row. And he went and looked it up after, and he saw that, and then he tweeted it out and gave me credit for it. And that's kind of when it started, going around and touching different places. And then Kevin Anderson, who was the executive producer at NBC Sports Chicago, who did Bulls Outsiders,
right,
added to it when he put his own thing on it, when he said he said the last time he had won 4 games, it had been in college. He had went back that far. And so combined, those things, 2 things combined, just got more eyes on it. And it really just kind of just took on a life of its own, man. It just went everywhere after that. And then when I just started hearing Zach, and then I heard Zach LaVine say it. And when it got to Zach, that was crazy. And then I recently heard Kevin Durant saying it, and that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And then, just being on Sports Center and, getting the shout out from them, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And then I was like, okay, fine, good. I hope he wins 4 now, so I don't have to discuss this ever again, and we can move on from this. But I think the coolest part about it, guys, was when it started coming out and people kind of started trying to claim it for themselves and things like that, how Bulls Nation kind of acted like offensive linemen for me. Like, without me asking or doing anything, they were like, nope, you didn't come up with that. He came up with that. Why aren't you on that? Why aren't you giving him this love? And that was crazy to me, because then you realize how much people really do, care about what you do, and how much they like what you do, how much they're listening to what you're saying and things like that. So once all that kind of happened and they became the offensive lineman for me, then I started getting credit for it. And then, like I said, Ricky O'Donnell showing me that love, and Kevin Anderson as well. And yeah, it just took on life of its own, man. So yeah, bottom line, it was weird, which means it was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope those days are behind us too.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Thank you.
Glad they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So happy.
So then, how lifelong Bulls fan? You from the area, I assume. Grew up here, all that. When did it start? Do you remember like becoming a Bulls fan? The team? Was it the '90s Bulls, or was it the baby Bulls? What was it?
Definitely the '90s Bulls. I have a big family. I'm the youngest of 6. So, and sports in my family is the bond of everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially among the men in my family, it was always the bond. Started with my father. Just with my brothers. That's how we talk. You know what I'm saying? We are sports fanatics, and that's just what it is. And so I know a lot about sports at a young age that probably a lot of people didn't know about from just back in the day, because they're asking me wondering why Roberto Clemente is my favorite player. I never saw Roberto Clemente play a day of my life, but I loved Roberto Clemente because of the stories my dad would tell me, and then the things my brothers would show me. Like, so I had a deep fascination, a deep respect for that Jim Brown, you know what I'm saying, and all these other older guys. So I would hear all these stories. So when it came to basketball, I had a huge love for Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Again, based off my father, and that. And so I like Magic Johnson and, things like that. But in my house, my brother always taught me, you got to root for your team from your city. That's how I was always taught, which is why I'm unfortunately a Bears fan, because you have to root for the team from your city. That's just what it is. So it was kind of something that just was, because I remember growing up a Cubs fan and being that. And then I became a White Sox fan because the Cubs traded my favorite player, which was Jody Davis. And when they traded Jody, when I was like, I was a child. But it broke my heart. It did. Yeah. And I became a White Sox fan. I've been a White Sox fan ever since then. But yeah, like I'm very loyal to Chicago teams and things like that. But my loyalty to the Bulls, it started from there. So I was taught to love my Chicago teams, and having Michael Jordan around made it very easy to have a love for your Chicago team. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it started from there. I've never left, and the Bulls are probably my favorite Chicago team, man. Like I just love watching basketball.
Oh, they have to be, man. I mean, you got a multitude of different podcasts you're on. I mean, you're very active on social media. And like Dan said, a must follow, especially if you're a Bulls fan. But if you're a Chicago sports fan in general, I think you're a must follow, man. But how did you get into sports media, and how did you get into all these different podcasts and this, kind of career that you're in now?
Yeah. I guess it started when I went to college. I knew I wanted to be in radio, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I knew I wanted to be in radio. I'm a huge music person. I'm a huge anything with the arts, as far as movies or actual art or music, whatever. Theater, whatever. I can talk about it all day. But I didn't know that I could make sports a career. It didn't seem real because it just was second nature. It was like a second language to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, how can I make money teaching English to people who already know English? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how the thought process is. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that sounds made up. That's not real. So I never thought about, sports being that thing. When I went to, after I got my first degree, I went to Columbia College after that. Nice. And I got another degree at Columbia, and I went there for radio, sound and production. And when I was there, I took a class in sports journalism there. And it was taught by Red Motlow. And Red Motlow, if you know him, like in the media, he was a very revered guy, just very revered. He's respected, all those things. This was around the time when the Bulls, really were bad. This was right after the championship year. They were not good. But Red would always, he was very encouraging to me, but in his way, like, you didn't know if he thought you were good or not. He just always said the same things to you, like good pace. That was nice. All right, good job. So you didn't know, but he always was talking to me. That's how I kind of knew I was doing something. And then he started passing my name along, you know what I'm saying, to other guys. So I actually ended up doing a radio show at Columbia College, sports radio show, along with the radio show I was already doing at Columbia College. And that was so much fun to do. You know what I'm saying? That was a lot of fun that I did that. And again, after that happened, I didn't think about it again. I was like, there's no way. So then after college, I just did a lot of odd jobs. I moved to a lot of different cities, stayed in a lot of different cities, did a lot of different things. And when I came back home, I think talking to my friend Chris and knowing the love that he had for sports and I have for sports, and I was like, I think we should just, I don't know, want to start a podcast or something? Like, all right, yeah, I think we should do that. I was like, yeah, we can talk sports like all day long. Like, sure, let's just talk sports. Like, why not? I didn't see a reason why we shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, you like sports, I like sports. Get a microphone, turn it on. We'll figure everything else later. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. You feel me? Right. And I tell people that all the time. That's the hardest and easiest part, is just doing it.
Right.
I was like, that's really the hardest and easiest thing. Like, you can sit there and plan it all day long, but the action is what it has to be. You know what I mean? So once the action was, then everything, because at first it was just a weekly show that we just did weekly. And, of course, I'm sure you all understand, like, meager beginnings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to talk on like headphones because we didn't have a microphone. I used to sit in his closet and record with the door closed. I used to sit in his closet and record just so the sound could be right. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't sound like we were in the same room with each other. So I'm in a room with all his clothes talking to nobody while he's just sitting out there. And I'll be like, how come you don't have to sit in here? You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of how we started. And now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I guess, when I started putting my money into it, I guess that's when it started to get real. Like, when I started buying microphones, when I started getting laptops, you know what I'm saying? When I got this microphone, when I started making those kind of moves to improve the show that we were doing. And in the middle of us doing it, I met C. Red Fred. I don't know if you guys know great C. Red Fred.
Yeah,
of course.
I met him. I met him at my job. I was working downtown.
Okay.
And I met him at my job on the elevator. He worked on the same floor as me. And he got on the elevator and he saw my hat. And he just asked me about the Bulls because I had a Bulls hat on. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course I like the Bulls, And so we started talking about the Bulls, and he must have liked what I was saying. And then when I told him I loved Ben Gordon, he got extra excited because Ben Gordon is like his favorite. You know what I'm saying? He named his kid after, his kid is named Ben after Ben Gordon. Like, that's how much he loves Ben Gordon. Like, no joke. So, and then I told him I didn't really like Kirk Heinrich. Then his eyes got really big. Not as a person or nothing. I just thought he was washed as a player at that point in time. And he just was fat. And then once he heard that, and then when he talked to me a few more times on the elevator, he asked me, do I do podcasting? And do I do those things? And I'm like, yeah, I do one for like all Chicago sports. And then he started taking me to like podcasts he would be doing like down the street at a Subway with his friends, like just recording a podcast, and it was mind blowing to me because I didn't know you could do this. You know what I'm saying? I was like just looking like, this is crazy. Like you can really just do this here to like. Right. This is wild. And I told Chris, I was like, okay, we have to do one specific to the Chicago Bulls. I was like, because Fred is all Bulls, I'm Bulls, you're Bulls. Let's just do one specific to the Chicago Bulls and let's just roll with that. And that one became bigger than the show ball that we were actually doing. So we started doing that more and more and more. And we just didn't stop. I think that's the other key. Like we just ain't stopped. We just kept doing it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And kept going and kept plugging along. So. And now, you know, it grew from there. And, you know, I got a TV show off of it. And now I'm on y'all show.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that TV show, Bulls Outsiders. I would stay up and watch it. Loved you guys.
Oh, man.
We had your co-host, Matt Peck, on. Maybe we'll get Sabine on at some point here as well and do all of you. But I just want to know, like, tell me some stories, man. We were talking to Matt about it in the green room, watching the Bulls with like Kendall Gill, Will Perdue. Was it Chanowski there when you were there, or was it Goff? It was Chanowski.
Both, actually. Both.
Mm-hmm. So like, can you, anything that like you remember that it was like, oh, man, what a time that was, like to be in that room to watch that game, or a story that you were told from one of those guys and you just like, you know, an ex-NBA player just kind of just like confiding in you and telling you a story.
Yeah, well, a lot of those stories I can't share, but I might.
That's what Matt said.
Really a lot of them I can't share.
That
but
says
there was
something.
Some amazing story. But I can tell you, like when I first went to get the show, right, the audition.
Right. Yeah.
Again, C-Red Fred is the one who recommended me for it, and he thought I'd be great for it. I thought it's like, okay, all right, fine, I'll do it. And I didn't know how I was supposed to look. I didn't know how I was supposed to dress. Because I'm not used to being told, honestly, I'm not used to being told this is acceptable. You know what I'm saying? I'm not used to being told as a black man with long hair who wears hats that it's acceptable to look how you look on television. As wild as that sounds, but that's the truth. But so I went there, you know, I had my hair pulled back, you know, I had a jacket on, you know what I mean? Whatever. I had a hat on and stuff, but I wasn't comfortable. But anyway, I'm headed there. I took an Uber Black to get there, right? Just to make sure I could get there. The Uber Black broke down. Halfway
my
there.
Gosh.
And the guy goes in the glove compartment. It was like, yeah, it broke down. Here's $5. You got to catch a cab.
Chicago.
I was like, okay. So I get out. I don't know where I am. I'm not good with directions. My GPS is really going
and
crazy.
$5 for a cab. You can't get anywhere.
$5
for a
exactly.
cab. Like what?
But he was saying it was right. He's trying to tell me it's that close. And I'm like, bro, I don't think like that. That's not how my thought process. You have to walk me there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My GPS. But anyway, so I'm walking around. The GPS is telling me one way to go. I'm getting super lost. I meet a guy on the street who just happens to be nice and, you know, kind of walks me there, you know, to where Fred is standing outside on the phone, because he on the phone the whole time yelling at me like, dude, where are you? Like, you're right there. Just follow the sun. You know, like you'll get there. I'm like, dude, I don't know where I'm at, man. So I get there. And when I get there, I think Matt and Jordan were the only two people there when I got there. And so that was my first time like meeting Matt and everything like that. So I get there. Kevin Anderson tells us all, you know, we're doing the show. And I get in and everybody's great. Honestly, it's wild. Everybody was amazing. So I obviously think I'm the problem, because I'm like, if everybody's great, then you suck. You know what I'm saying? So I get on, I don't feel comfortable. I didn't like it, how I was doing it. I did it. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me go home. And I look at my phone and my phone is dead. So my phone is not charged. I don't know how I'm gonna get home now. So I'm like, I got to catch a cab to get there. So I catch a cab. The cab driver, you know, spends the whole time talking about politics to me while I'm getting there.
Of course.
Right. All the way there. I get in my car and I go home. And I don't think about it again. Honestly, I didn't think about the show. I didn't think about any of it ever again, because I just knew I wasn't going to get it. Kevin Anderson calls me. He's like, we'd like you to come back and do the show. When he told me that in my head, I said, you know what? If I'm not going to get this, then I'm not going to get this by being myself. They're not going to not like me for somebody that I'm pretending to be. They're just not going to like me for me. And I'm comfortable with that. So this time I show up and got my hoodie on. I got on shorts. Got my hair down. I'm like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just going to do this. You know what I mean? And I went in there and I was myself. And I thought I did. Now, that time I thought I did really well. And I was very comfortable with everything I said and how I act and all of that stuff. And then when Kevin Anderson called me, I was literally at home just sitting in my drawers, just on TV. He called me. It was like, yeah, you got the show. And it was, I think I was silent for about 20 seconds because I couldn't comprehend any of this. Yeah, I was hyped, but I couldn't comprehend it. You know what I mean? Because I'm just listening like, I got what? You know what I mean?
Right,
like, for real? Seriously? Like, this is weird. Because I told him, I would tell him all the time, there's nobody on network who looks like me.
On TV.
Right. It just doesn't exist. I don't exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look on and see dudes who look like this. I just don't. And so that's why it was weird for me to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a bunch of other guys that look like Matt and look like John. I've seen those. Like, it's rare to see me. And if it's anybody that looks close to me, they're playing ball. You know what I'm saying? they're like that. You know what I mean? But just somebody who's talking sports like that. And that's why I always appreciated Kevin Anderson so much. He was super encouraging of me of just being who the heck I am. And I'm very comfortable being who I am. And he was just very encouraging that. But man, Kendall Gill is an incredible storyteller. He tells some great stories. Will Purdue as well told us some great stories. Man, I'm trying to think of a good Kendall one while I'm sitting here talking. Mark Shanowski, man, dude, that out of everybody I met, Mark Shanowski was the one I was really like, you know, like, which is wild, right? Because you would think Will Purdue, Kendall Gill, all these guys. Dude, I saw Mark Shanowski. I was like,
Chicago legend.
Yes, that's Mark Shanowski, man.
Yeah.
Like I've been watching you, you know, and studying you. Like, you're incredible. And he's talking to me. And I remember the first time they asked me to do a radio show. It was with him and Kendall Gill. They was like, yeah, you're gonna do a show with him and Kendall Gill. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I'm sitting in the middle. And I promise you, Mark Shanowski is talking to me, and I don't hear anything he's saying because the whole time I'm just looking at him like, dude, you're Mark Shanowski.
Yeah.
Dude, that's Kendall Gill. Like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, what am I doing here? And I kind of caught in on the last part of what he said, something about Jabari Park. I was like, oh yeah, Jabari Park. All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's talk. So yeah, it was just that kind of starstruckness.
It's wild,
for me, yeah. JR meeting Jim Rose. You know what I'm saying? Like that, going to the Bulls, like a ping pong event that they had, and meeting Scottie Pippen, you know, there, and Horace Grant actually knowing who I am, because we met Horace Grant several times in the green room, and he is amazing.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Incredible. He's another incredible storyteller. And when he saw me, you know, it was like he knew me for years or something. Put the arm, yo, Scotty, yo, this is my man, Good News right here. I was like, what? I got nicknames? I was like,
nicknames between Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because they used to call Cliff Livingston Good News. That's what they called him. And he started calling me that. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So just meeting all those players, you know, and all these legends that I grew up with, and taking pictures with them, man, and all these people in media and all these writers that I love, you know, I just sit on the bus and read newspapers that I would just meet them, you know what I'm saying? And see them. Yeah. It was mind blowing, bro.
What an experience, man. Very happy for you that you had that happen to you, man. Well deserved as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll do a few more questions so we start talking about this current team.
Okay.
All right. Favorite Bulls player of all time not on a championship team?
Favorite Bulls player of all time not on a championship team? I think Derrick Rose is.
That was my prediction.
Answer,
that was my prediction. Yeah.
As far as favorite, I didn't love Derrick Rose.
Okay.
How should I say this? I didn't love him like most people love him. Like most people, you know, fight you over Derrick Rose. Yeah.
And
I won't fight you. You know what I mean? Even though I love Derrick Rose, who doesn't? It's Derrick Rose, bro. You know what I mean? But on that team, for me, it was probably Joakim Noah, who I just really just had tremendous amounts of love and respect for, because he was another guy. I remember when he came out the draft that Bulls fans hated. And I kept telling them how good he was. Like, I watched him in college win 2 championships and be the best player on that team. Like, that team was stacked in Florida. Yeah. And I would watch him be the best player, like, all the time. I was like, no, he's going to be great. And I just love the way he played, like, and who he was. So him, but the best one, favorite one, probably Ben Gordon. Like, if I had it's Ben Gordon, man. I actually had his jersey.
EG7.
Right. He was the first post-championship Bull jersey that I bought, was Ben Gordon. So it has to be. I loved Ben Gordon, man. He was my favorite.
Man, he heat up like no other, man. You just start going and just chuck it. Some of
Sixth
like
man of
people
the year as a
forget.
rookie.
People forget too. If you look at Ben Gordon highlights, those are nasty shots he was making. Oftentimes off like the handoff or just cut it around on the 3-point arc and just like out
deep
jumping
threes,
people
man.
and deep threes.
Always in the fourth. Always in the fourth.
Always, exactly. Clutch.
All right, then we got another off the wall question for you here. If you could
Sure.
pick a celebrity courtside super fan for the Bulls, a la, like Jack Nicholson, Spike Lee, that type of personality, you could pick somebody. You can't say yourself, but who would you want to be the Chicago Bulls super fan?
Yo, you know why I'm laughing? Because we have discussed this.
Have you?
On the podcast. Because
Okay.
Chris and I are so upset that the Bulls don't have one.
Right.
And we're like, where's our star and select? It used to be Gene Siskel. Used to be our guy. After Gene,
guy.
I was right. And he was a Ball fan. You know what I'm saying? After him, it was nobody. I was like, who's left? Like, why don't we have one? Where's our Spike Lee?
Yeah.
We've discussed that a million times. But who do I want to be that person? Oh, I think the easy answer is Chance the Rapper.
He's kind of it right now, right? He's like
Yeah.
here and there.
The closest thing I would say, right?
He's the closest, right? As far as like having that Chicago everything,
Right.
I can't say Bill Murray. Bill Murray, is everybody. You know what I'm saying? He's Bears, he's Cubs, he's Illini, he's you know what I mean? He's everybody. But yeah, man, I think Chance would be it. Kanye's too busy, Common's too busy. John Cusack, you know what I'm saying, is definitely Cubs, and Vince Vaughn too. Can't take him, he's Cubs. But yeah, I would go with Chance, but they definitely need one because Chance already has ties with the White Sox, and that would make sense, organizational wise. So yeah, Chance the Rapper.
There it is.
All right.
All right, let's talk this team. This 21-10, first in the Central, second overall in the East, Chicago Bulls team. Who is the biggest surprise on this roster for you this year?
It's a good question. The biggest surprise, I guess, DeMar DeRozan is the biggest surprise for me. I knew he would be good. I knew what he would bring. He's literally brought everything I continue to say he would bring, but he's done it at an elite level.
And some.
And that's some. Exactly. He put some cheese on it.
That's right.
And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting him to have an MVP kind of season. You know what I'm saying? He's really having an MVP kind of year. And that's what's been more surprising. I knew what Zach was going to do because him going to Team USA, anybody who comes back from that who's not used to winning is going to be a different kind of person. You saw that with Jimmy Butler as well. When Jimmy Butler came back from team, he was different. You know what I mean?
It's true.
DeMar DeRozan came back, he was different. So I knew this would be good for Zach LaVine to go and get a gold medal and just see that he belongs with these, great elite basketball players. So I knew he'd be different. I understood. And I knew what Vooch is. You know what I'm saying? We know how good he is. I knew what Lonzo was. You know what I'm saying? I've been wanting Lonzo since he was on the Lakers. But DeMar DeRozan was the question mark for a lot of people. And people called it a bad fit. People thought it was too much money. They didn't think it would work. I thought it would. But my God, to this extent, leading the league in fourth quarter points, like just being this kind of dominant basketball player, I didn't see that. So that would be probably the biggest surprise for me as far as players.
His hand is so steady come the fourth quarter. You cannot shake him, man.
You can't, man. And it's such a luxury to have that we haven't had in so long. You know what I'm saying? Somebody I could just look to and say, I need a bucket right now.
It's going to happen.
You go get that for me.
Trust him.
Sure. Yeah, it's great.
It's so fun to watch him knock down that inside jumper too. It's just like so smooth for that guy, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Silky, man. And the way it hits the net too, it's just wow, it's great. It's awesome.
Do you have a favorite non-starter on this team?
Favorite non-starter?
Yeah.
Oh, it's becoming, what's funny?
Pre-COVID starting lineups.
Yeah.
It's becoming Matt Thomas. And I'll tell you why. I like, if you know me and follow me, I love Ryan Nall. Like, that's my guy. I love Ryan Nall. And I don't apologize for it because first of all, you can't really name me too many white running backs in the NFL. It doesn't exist like that. So the fact he's playing that position in Chicago, where they got nothing but running backs, I was very proud of him. He's always did something in the preseason that always excited.
It was like a Brian Forsey. It was like before Nall. I feel
man,
like same guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're exactly right. Yes, you are. You are correct. You are correct. But Ryan Nall would always do something, and for some reason, Bears fans hated him. And that hate made me love him more. And then I was just like, he's still kicking. Oh, y'all hate him? Well, bet I love him. Like Ryan Dahl is my guy. Matt Thomas kind of turned into that for me like yesterday. And just the amount of hate I saw him getting and people just talking, I'm like, he's like the 15th dude on the roster. Why are you breaking down stats from Matt Thomas? It's Matt Thomas, bro. Like, we'll probably never see him again after COVID happens. You know what I'm saying? He might not even get no playing time like that. But in the meantime, let's let him, if he scores, cool. If he doesn't, it's Matt Thomas. Like, what do you want?
Shoot away.
Shoot away. So when he started hitting threes yesterday, I was over the moon excited about it. And I was like, I even tweeted out, I think this might be my new Ryan Dahl. This might be my new Ryan Dahl right here.
Order the jersey. Get the Matt Thomas jersey.
Dude, I got a Ryan Dahl cameo. Okay, so I'm a fan. So don't make me do that for my man, Matt.
That's
Thomas
awesome.
Too.
All right,
that's awesome.
I was looking today on The Athletic. I love reading their stuff. Zach Harper went ahead and gave his kind of power rankings, updated them today. He had the Bulls at number 7 in tier 2 brink of contention labeling. The teams ahead of the Bulls that he had listed are the Heat at 6, Bucks at 5, Nets at 4, Jazz at 3, Suns at 2, Warriors at 1. You agree? Are they like title contenders? Are they on that brink right there at the 7th overall team right now in the NBA?
Yeah, honestly, I think you have to. When you're 21-10 and second in the East, and nobody expected you to even be there, and then you have basically the best duo backcourt in the league right now, and then you've got 2 of the best defenders who probably both be all first team all defense in Lonzo and Caruso, and then you're doing it because nobody expected it, and nobody was looking at you. Everybody kind of had you lower seated, and then. If you look at it, guys, numbers wise, teams that go to the playoffs and go to the finals are usually top 10 in scoring or top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense. That's exactly what the Bulls are. They're top 10 in offense and they're top 10 in defense. And you just watch it and you look to find the flaw in when you watch them play, right? And like you don't really see too many. You're like, I know size is the biggest one that you see. You're like, they need some size. You need another big man. You need probably another veteran presence or something like that. But those are like minor issues to me. You know what I'm saying? Those aren't like big glaring things that they've just like, oh man, we won't win unless we do this. You know what I'm saying? No, they're 21-10. They're showing you they can win. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they got Matt Thomas killing cats, so they're showing you they can win. All right. Yeah. So I think you'd be doing them a disservice by not saying that they aren't title contenders or have an outside chance of getting there. Honestly, like just looking at it and looking at the record and how they've played and who they've beaten. Also,
wild.
Remember that schedule, they had basically the hardest schedule in the NBA when it started out. You remember that gauntlet they went on in November that everybody said they were going to get destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Going and playing everybody. Didn't happen that way. Came out a few games over 500 out of that gauntlet and did it without some of their key players. Did it without Vooch. He was doing that was in COVID. You know what I'm saying? They still were beating these teams. So you have to give them some kind of that credit and say, you know what? Yeah, 7 is a good spot for them. Like they could be title contenders. I think so.
Would they be better with Patrick Williams still around, you think? Or
yeah.
So you think this team next year, I mean, realistically, do you think they even expected this team to be, I mean, obviously, I don't know if anybody could have expected them to be good this year, but were they planning for next year to be the year where they really made this run? Or do you think it just, the timeline's just so sped up because this team clicked so fast?
I think it's yes, but I think it's 2 different yeses. I think it's yes, because you're right. That timeline got sped up so fast because everybody, played and clicked and nobody really expected them, including the players. Even DeMar said that. Like he didn't expect it to click so fast for them. So you're right in that aspect. But I think the other yes is that Arturis consistently said, I'm trying to win now. I want to win now, today. He didn't say nothing about next year. He kept saying, I want to win now. Like right now, I want to be a team that contends now. So everything you've seen him do, and Mark Eversley, everything you've seen those guys do to this point has been to contend and win right now. So I don't think they're worried or concerned about next year. You don't trade away all your young players because you're worried about next year. That means you're trying to win right now and trying to do something to, improve your team and your lot in the league now. So yeah, they're trying to win today. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get this championship going.
Love
So,
to see it.
With that being said, then I mean, a lot of talk has been happening. I'm sure you're aware of it as well, with the emergence of Io and how well he's playing. It kind of looks like Kobe could be, an easy piece to put into a trade. Are you comfortable packaging him up, maybe a draft pick, or maybe even, I know Pat Will has been in there as well, to go get that big man that we need? If we're speeding this up, we're winning now. We need that great, power forward, I believe is what we should get. Are you someone who's going to go for it? Put him in there, get that power forward on the way back, and let's go win a championship.
Let me preface this by saying I'm with anything AK and Mark Eversley want to do. If they want to do it,
right,
completely, I'm with it. So let me preface that by saying that I don't see Patrick Williams being traded at all, and I don't want to trade Patrick Williams at all because that's their baby. That's their first ever draft pick, and they're not letting him go. And I think he's going to be really awesome, personally. Like that dude. I think.
See Scotty Barnes in Toronto. They're supposed to be very similar.
Yeah. Oh, Scotty Barnes is vicious. Yeah.
Tearing it up.
He's a monster, man. So yeah, I think Patrick Williams is going to be awesome. I really, really do. But as far as trade is concerned, everybody wants to trade Kobe White. Every Bulls fan has been talking about trading Kobe White. I wanted to see Kobe White and what he looked like first before we started having those discussions. Bulls fans trying to trade him the minute he came back. And I was like, well, can he get a month? Like the dude didn't play for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have training camp, didn't have a summer league, he didn't have any of that. Like, can I see him play some basketball first? You know what I'm saying? And let's see, maybe he's a fit on this team. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to need guys like who can score. You know what I'm saying? Off that bench. Because that's one of the things. That's another thing the Bulls are lacking is they don't have that guy that can come off the bench and light you up. You know what I'm saying? But that's why Kobe White is so important.
Coming
Thomas. Off that bench. Yeah. The league ain't ready for that. But they just didn't have it. And Kobe definitely is that kind of guy when he's hot. When Kobe's hot, he's vicious. You know what I'm saying? He's Vinny Johnson, microwave. He's nasty. But I wanted to see what he looked like before I started even listening to people talk about trading him and getting rid of him and making a move, you know what I'm saying, to get another guy, another piece or anything like that. So I'm still in the midst of kind of watching him, seeing what he's doing. You know, I think he's been better defensively also, which is a credit to Mo Cheeks and Billy Donovan. But yeah, I like it, what he's been doing so far. Like, I still think he's getting comfortable. He did that. He played a few games, then he went out with COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's tough.
I just want to give him a little time to get reacclimated, you know what I'm saying, to the game and get comfortable with these new teammates. Because everybody's new. Nobody, he didn't play with anybody but Zach LaVine. Everybody is brand new to him, and probably Vooch and Patrick Williams. You know what I'm saying? Guys, everybody else, it's a brand new everything for him. So I just want to see that first before I start be like, yeah, let's get rid of him. He can go. With all that said, if a credible trade comes up and we get somebody really special, yeah. All right.
Right.
Cool.
For sure. So I actually saw a potential trade online. I don't know if this is just somebody throwing this out there, but I want to throw this at you. Kendrick Nunn, DeAndre Jordan, and 2 seconds from the Lakers to us for Kobe White. So it's more depth pieces and some picks for White. Or would you rather we package White and some of our picks to get like a bigger name for us?
Yeah, I don't like that. No, I don't. DeAndre Jordan
washed.
I was shocked he was still playing. Honestly, I didn't know he was even still playing. G, so shout out to him for still being out there. Real talk. Like, I didn't even know he could do that. I didn't see him play at all with the Nets. Like,
none can cook a little bit off the bench because you still have a little bit of that, but
it's been different though. Like Kendrick Nunn, from what he did in Miami, he hasn't been that. You know what I'm saying? In LA, you know what I mean? At all. Like at all. He hasn't been that kind of player. So, but Kobe White is 30 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can get you 30, like, quick. You know what I mean? He can get that for you. So I'm gonna need more. You know, he has bigger value than that, I think.
Championship 6 man. He'll help you out when your offense is stagnant. Yeah.
Seriously.
He's just got to get some rhythm. I wish he was taller, but that's the only thing.
6'5". You want 6'8"?
A little bit bigger, a little longer.
Oh yeah, he would have been drafted a little higher. Like,
he got short arms. He's got short arms.
What about these 10 dice signings? McClung, Ilyasova. Obviously, unfortunate with Ilyasova getting the COVID right away there and losing him. But what do you think about these two? You think they'll be around for a little bit, or are you excited about either of those guys?
Ilyasova, I think, will get some tick because of the size that we mentioned that they were lacking. And the fact that he's a veteran as well. And the fact he's an IQ basketball player. So he's got those three. They definitely have a type. You know what I'm saying? They love high IQ guys who can defend multiple positions. They've shown that's consistent and who can run the floor. Like they need that. You know what I'm saying? That's what they crave, which is why I keep looking at Tristan Thompson, honestly. Yeah. That's why I keep looking at personally. So on a buyout, I can see Tristan Thompson being with the Bulls. But yeah, I think Ilyasova will be here. He's a good bench piece to have as far as a big man is concerned. In case Tony Bradley is having just an off game. Another guy Bulls fans got to relax on. He's a backup center. Like,
Give him some time. Yeah. He's young too. Came in the league when he was like, what, 18, 19?
Yeah, man. Like this it's Tony Bradley. Like, seriously, like what you want? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Tony Bradley, bro. You know what I mean? All right. Sorry. But Ilyasova, but McClung, I don't know because there's so many guards on this team. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's so many guards on this team. And when Caruso and Lonzo get back, then you got him, you got those two along with Kobe and Ayo. You know what I'm saying? And Javonte Green, who's a guard, but he's playing power forward. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about McClung. I don't know if he'll be able to fit or not. I don't know what their plans will be for him, but I can see where Ilyasova kind of fits because of the size, but I don't know about McClung though. Unless he's battling out my man Matt Thomas.
Yeah, he's got a sick highlight of high school dunks. That's about his biggest. Everyone's that's like, true. Yeah, good signing. Did you see his high school highlights? If you follow you know that you're a you're a big fan of Vooch, and you kind of try to quiet all the haters and wanting him to be traded when you're struggling. So how vindicated do you feel right now after these last 4 games where he's averaging, near 20 points, 13 rebounds and 4 assists?
I don't know. Vindicated is strong.
Yeah.
I expected it. I knew he was going to be good. Like it's not a shock to me, but it's fun messing with Bulls fans about it. That's fun. That's a lot of fun to do. But yeah, like I wasn't worried. Like not a part of me was ever concerned about a dude who for his career averaged 20 and 10 and shoots 40% from 3 for his career. Like why would I be concerned about this? Like I wasn't even worried. I'm like, he's never gone through this before. This is brand new to him. It's a new team. It's a new situation. He's usually considered the best player on his team. Now he's number 3. So that changes. And then I don't know. And my man Chris mentioned this. He was like, I don't know how much the actual change of the basketball might have had something to do with it, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It could have been a factor, but watching what DeRozan and Levine are doing, I don't know if that's a factor or not, but it could be. It could be. But all those things, plus he got COVID. So all those things factoring in and tying in, I wasn't worried. Another reason I wasn't worried is because they continue to look for him all the time. They would continue to get him the basketball and like, okay, go do your thing. And if you watch the shots he was missing, it was the shots he's always takes. Like it wasn't anything new. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, he usually hits that little, push shot. Yep. He usually hits that little hook shot he does, that little spin, turn around. He usually hits those 3-pointers. He usually hits them all the time. And even within that slump that he was going through, he still was providing things to help this team win. And that's the other thing. This wasn't hurting you winning. You know what I'm saying? You weren't losing. You were still winning basketball team, even with him going through this slump. He still would come down and hit key 3-pointers in the game in the fourth quarter. And it was like 3 games I saw him do that. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks game at the United Center, Joakim Noah night, he did that. The first game of the season against Detroit, he did that. You know what I mean? Like he was hitting key buckets for this team, you know what I'm saying, going forward. So that's why I wasn't worried. I was like, okay, that's got to be a slump. If it was like 9 points and 8 rebounds, I'm like, get him. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have been all over him. But his slump was still 15 and 11.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I would have begged for somebody to have that slump on the Bulls like 4 years ago. I would have begged for somebody to go through a slump like that. But yeah, seeing how he has come back in these last 4 games and just tied it all together, realizing where he is, where he needs to be, and how comfortable he's becoming with the team. It was what I expected, honestly. Yeah. And I wish more Bulls fans would have expected it too.
Well, you got to love where we're at here, 21 and 10, as Dan said before. It's just been awesome to watch this team. Yeah. I guess the last thing we got here is Alfonso McKinney signing to a rest of the season contract. I think they believe they signed him through next year as well. You like that move? obviously you said you're all in on everything Arturis wants to do here. So I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, this guy's proved, they've proved enough to this point where I'm just like, that sounds great. But whatever you want to
do. Whatever you want to do, man. I talked about it all off season. I was just like, just get out the kitchen and let them dudes cook. Why is everybody in the kitchen with them? Like with these, everything they said they wanted to do, they did it. Everything. Yeah. Every single thing they said we want to do for this team, they went and they did it. From the coaching hires to the types of players that they got. They did every single thing they said they were going to do. Every single hole that the Bulls had, they was out there trying to plug it with actual good things, not trying to plug it with their t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like actually using materials to actually stop a leak. They were actually doing that. So if you're doing everything that you said you're going to do, and I'm watching the product that you put on the floor just look amazing, why wouldn't I have the utmost faith and trust in what you want to do going forward? You've already paid your dues here for me. So all I got to do is eat the meal that you cook. And I'm like, whatever you want to keep bringing out here, I'm like, cool. Yeah, put it on the plate. Let's roll. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with it. So, yes, McKinney, yes, he's great. They're going to need him. 6'8" dude who can spread the floor with his shooting, actually can play some defense as well. And is a hometown guy. So that also adds to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you play a little differently when you're playing at home. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure y'all as ball players know that. You play a little differently when you're playing at home, man. But, yeah, it's a good signing. And he hasn't done anything to look like he doesn't know what he's doing out there on the floor. He looks like he has a high basketball IQ and he knows where to be and knows that he's tall. I like players that know they're tall. Sometimes they don't know, like Lowry Markkanen did not know he was 7 feet tall. Like Nico didn't know it either. Like guys, there were a bunch of tall players that didn't know they were tall. He knows he's tall. He uses it and he can shoot the ball. Yeah, he'll fit in nicely.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun to talk about a team that's playing at a very high level. It's your hometown team, and it's a lot of fun. You want to transition and talk to the Bears, a team that really isn't a lot of fun to talk about at this point.
Hey, we
got to watch Nick Foles this weekend. That's cool, right?
Pulled out a win in the snow. I mean, snow games are tough to watch sometimes, but Bears getting a win against Seattle. I mean, on the road too, it's just awesome to watch that kind of thing. Even I would have liked to see Fields out there. I like to watch Fields. That's where I'm at. It's like games now. It's just I want to see Fields too. Dan talks about it too all the time. It's just like this is where we're at. We want to see Justin Fields out there, but Foles got his shot. Let him get out there, get us a dub. Like, what's wrong with the Bears win? Right? I'm not complaining about it. We don't have a first round pick.
I'm with Dan, bro.
You're not ruining our first round picks. We don't have one. So like, whatever, I'll take a win.
Yeah.
But then it turns into the conversation of like, well, hey, are they turning the corner?
Yeah.
Are the players buying in? David Montgomery spoke out about Matt Nagy. He's a great man, even better coach. Should we extend him now? No, this team's awful. This team's on fire. Everybody needs to be fired. The roster's decent. But it's got a ton of holes and we just got done talking about the Bulls who replaced top-down management. And in a year, like how good was that conversation we just had? We're talking about title contention, right?
Completely different sport, right?
But it's the same maneuvers that need to happen. You need to clear house. The Bears have been in this position for way too long.
I have to say Ryan Pace's picks this year, though, if you look at them all, not that bad. Graham, not bad.
What's our record?
Pretty good.
What's our record? The record is what your record is.
Hey, and you can put a lot of that on Nagy if you want. I'm just saying Ryan Pace didn't do that bad of a job this year, so that makes me concerned that they're not going to get rid of him. I do agree that I think they need to get rid of Pace and Nagy. I think you need to clear house. You need to get a new GM in there that calls a shot and picks a coach there. But I mean, I'm just saying some of those picks, not that bad. Getting W, not terrible. I'll take it.
No, man.
That's where I'm at.
Dave, what do you think? Dave, what do you?
Dave, what are you thinking?
Like even just thinking of that just makes me think of other Bears GMs. I forget who our last GM was, but I'm like,
Jerry Angelo?
Not Jerry Angelo, the one with the glasses that got Mark Trestman here.
Oh, yeah, the cowboy boots guy, right?
Yeah, I can't remember him, but dude, look at who he brought in Brandon Marshall, Jay Cutler, he brought in Matt Forte, Martellus Bennett, he brought in God, who I'm missing.
Man, that was a great team. That was fun to watch.
He brought in Alshon Jeffrey. You know what I'm saying? Like he brought in some dudes.
Yeah.
He still wasn't good. Like he still had to go. He was not good. Ryan Pace, man. Listen, when he drafted Adam Shaheen, I was like, yeah, he got to go. Like I didn't want him for that. I was like, he got to get out of here, man. He's done some terrible things, like too many detrimental things. Like you've seen, Kyle Fuller just walked out the door, man. I don't want to get started on it. Okay. Yeah. No, he must go, but I think it's bigger than him. I think it starts with Ted Phillips. Like I think it starts at the top. Like you got to start with him. He's got to go. What has he been doing there for so long when your team hasn't done anything? You know what I'm saying? No kind of winning. You're living off tradition. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of talking about the 85 Bears. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it shouldn't even be a thing anymore. A couple people ain't even alive. You know what I'm saying? Don't even remember anything about the 85 Bears. But now they got to talk about it all the time. The reason they have to talk about it because that's all we still have. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what we're holding on to, man. But no, this team, that top to bottom, they got to reconstruct.
Yeah, we got blinders on. Just hearing you say that, Evan, just makes me upset. Look at these draft picks this year. They're not that bad. Look at around the NFL. There's so many other better teams, and you're not looking at their draft classes, how much better they were finding prospects at a lower level. We got blinders on.
Fields would be a top 5 pick this year, though. If you were going into if he was in the draft this coming year, don't you think he'd be a top 5 pick? He showed enough this year. I think
they didn't want to draft him. They didn't want to draft Justin Fields. They had a plan. They already had a plan. Their plan was to get Andy Dalton. They weren't expecting Justin Fields to be there. That wasn't even a thought for them, but they had to take it. They had no choice. You know what I mean? It was right there in their face. They were like, well, we can't fumble this. We got to go do this. But no, and then when they get him here, they fumbled that the entire time since he's been here. Because their plan was Andy Dalton the entire time. And then when he gets in there, he throws 4 interceptions. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the guy that they were riding for, was Andy Dalton, man. They were like, we want Andy Dalton. We need Andy Dalton. We got to have him in there. He's going to be our guy. But got Justin Fields on the bench.
We beat Seattle in one of their worst seasons in the last 10 years. Hey,
with your third string quarterback. With your third string. Who's Nick Foles? Who's not a third string quarterback either. You know what I'm saying? He's a backup. And
how many games they got left? They got 2 more. They could finish 7-10. Is that what it is? If they win the next 2,
7-10. Yeah, because it's 17. Yep. Because who is it? The Giants and
they should beat the Giants this week. And I think they closed with the Vikings. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I think it's the Vikings.
Hey, you got to ride that momentum in the next year. Keep everybody.
Seriously. When you say that, it sounds like those Bears films I watched that NFL Films does. After the season, even though the season was tough, those draft picks that they had played so tough today. The special teams, the punter.
I think, I mean, going back to what you said about the 85 Bears, I think it's going to take a change of scenery. Honestly, this new field, I think, is going to bring new life into this
Arlington
team
Heights.
for sure. Like, you get away from Soldier Field, and I think maybe the 85 Bears thing is a thing of the past, and we're not focusing on that anymore. It's a new team, it's a new stadium, it's all that.
That's interesting.
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I like that because you're getting rid of the ghosts, like you're kind of exercising demons there, going to a new stadium. You're right. That makes sense.
I think so.
And that was talking Bears.
Yeah, that was talking Bears.
Sorry for depressing people. Sorry.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, it's all good. Big Dave, man, thanks so much for being on this show today. Again, y'all, if you want to go ahead and give him a follow on Twitter, that is at Ball Sports, BAWL Sports, and also on Instagram as well. Same thing, Ball Sports. Got to say it like Avery Johnson. Ball, get the basketball, man. Ball. Okay. Dave, thanks so much for being here, man.
Thanks so much, Dave.
This has been awesome, guys. Thank y'all for having me, man.
All right. Thanks again to Big Dave for hopping on. Dan, let's get into that was a lot of fun. Let's get into your week 17 picks here. We'll start with the Eagles at Washington.
Eagles.
Rams at Ravens.
Ravens.
Ooh, interesting. Really?
Lamar might come
by
back.
Cincinnati. Okay. All right.
At Baltimore, late.
It's at Baltimore, yeah.
Early January, late December. I don't know what the date's going to be.
Buccaneers at Jets.
Bucks.
Dolphins at Titans.
Man, Dolphins, they've 8 in a row.
And hot. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go Dolphins.
All right. Jags at Patriots.
Patriots.
Raiders at Colts.
Colts. Even with Carson Wentz out.
Really? The Jonathan Taylor Show. Chiefs at Bengals.
Bengals. I feel like Chiefs have already clinched. They might start already looking ahead.
Okay. Giants at Bears.
Bears. Can't go against them.
Bears. Falcons at Bills.
Bills.
Texans at 49ers.
Texans.
Okay. Interesting call. Broncos at Chargers.
Chargers.
Panthers at Saints.
Saints.
All right. Lions at Seahawks.
Lions. That's right.
Wow. Okay. Cardinals at Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Vikings at Packers.
That's gonna be an awesome game.
The Cardinals game?
Yeah. Packers.
Browns at Steelers. This is Monday night.
Cleveland.
Yeah. I like Cleveland in that one too. I think Nick Chubb's going to have a huge game. All right.
Need it. That brings us to my
Which would
favorite
be?
segment of the show,
Yeah.
Waiver Wire Wednesday.
This is the Waiver Wire Wednesday, the Fantasy Championship,
edition.
Edition. Yes. All right. So obviously, if you made it to the championship, hopefully you have better options than these. I'll preface it with that. I wouldn't feel super comfortable playing any of these guys, to be quite honest with you, but here's some names if you have a hole in your roster and you need to fill it real quick here. So I got a QB, Trey Lance. Jimmy Garoppolo is injured and they play Houston this week. So Trey Lance, a rookie, but he's got some rushing upside. I like him. Running back, if Rashad Penny's out there, he gets Detroit this week. He's a great play if he's somehow still available. I think he's 70% owned on Yahoo.
Yeah.
So might be still out there. Check fees out there. Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. For the Eagles, Scott and Howard split the early down work after Miles Sanders left late in the first half of the last game. I don't think he's going to play this week. So you got Scott and Howard. Between the two of them, I like Scott a little bit better. I think he gets some of the passing down work. But they get Washington this week, who's kind of been a mess on defense. Deep leagues, Dara Ogunbowale is going to take over for James Robinson, who was placed on IR with a torn Achilles. Ogunbowale had 17 carries after Robinson went out in the first quarter there. So tough matchup against New England this week too. He should get all the work, but again, it's only 2% owned. Somebody that I wouldn't really trust unless you really need to there at the running back spot. Wide receivers, Isaiah McKenzie had a huge game, 11 catches, 125 and a touchdown, good for 29 PPR points this week. Cole Beasley is going to be out for another game due to COVID. So he's a good pickup. I think he's my number one wide receiver pickup. KJ Osborne also, if Thielen sits, Thielen re-injured his ankle in that last game against the Rams too. So check for those two guys. Foster Moreau and Gerald Everett are out there in a lot of leagues if you need a tight end. As far as Moreau goes, they play Indy this week. They give up the third most points to the tight end spot. If Waller's out, Moreau's a nice spot start. Gerald Everett's had 10 plus fantasy points in 5 of his last 7. So if you need a tight end, look to those two guys. And, honestly, the defense spot, I think, is probably going to be the spot people are going to be looking for the championship. I like the Bears this week against the Giants, who are going to be without Daniel Jones. They've been getting torched by opposing defenses the last 3 weeks. And my top 3 defenses of the week would be Tampa against the Jets, Buffalo against Atlanta, and Chicago, who I just mentioned against the Giants. Those are my top 3. Kansas City and Miami have been hot lately. Don't hate their matchups really. And I mentioned San Fran gets Houston this week. So I kind of like that. I know you picked Houston over San Fran. So I'm kind of, yeah.
Well, they're going to start Trey Lance. So you got a rookie quarterback. Houston played well last week. I mean,
they did.
Yeah. So
Torch Chargers, right? So
I don't know. I just think something there, a matchup there I like to, if you're looking at defenses, would be New England and Jacksonville. I think that's a good defense to go ahead and look at as well. One of the top ones.
Yeah. See if New England's out there.
Yeah,
it's a great defense for sure. So, we haven't had the podcast in a couple of weeks here. Dan, you and I played in the domestic draft bowl, as we called it, in the main league. And, I beat you by over 100 points. Not that any of this matters because I'm out now as well, but, moral victory.
None of it matters. It's fairy dust. It's fairy.
But what does matter is the Sony Michel and the Chuba
Oh man, I did not see this coming.
You didn't see it coming, did you? That Sony Michel would turn into this workhorse RB1 for the Rams at the end of the season here, and Chuba Hubbard would be going 6 rushes for 9 yards.
It's nuts.
So 2 weeks left in this bet. Chuba's at 108.2, Sony at 122.5. He finally passed him, and
Henderson's out for the year.
Henderson's on IR. Yeah. So we got 2 games left. Cam Akers is reportedly going to get some work this week. We'll see if he takes the job from Sony. I don't know.
I saw like an
And,
article that like, I think maybe you shared it as well, that Chuba is like the most inefficient rusher per attempts in the NFL this year. Not
Yeah.
great. Not great.
Not great. He did get a lot of opportunity. McCaffrey missed a lot of time. So,
Yep.
So we'll see where that goes. We'll keep you guys updated and let you know. But, the last thing I want to touch on here is the fantasy championship for the Fantasy Football League of Podcasts. Unfortunately, we lost this week to the official Butthole podcast. They beat us with that Miami defense on Monday night. So they will be in the championship against Average Joe's Sports Talk. That should be a fun one. So we're playing for third, but it was a great season. Thanks to everyone for participating. We'll run it again next year for sure.
Of course. Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. My prediction, I got to go with Butthole. I think you always want the team that beats you to win it. So you can be like, look, if we're just as good as the champions, we'll be there next year.
Right. All right. So that's our show for today. Thanks again to our guest, Big Dave Watson, for joining us today. For Dan Sloak, I'm Evan Bierman. You've been listening to the Domestic Draft Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Domestic Draft, on Instagram at Domestic Draft Podcast, our website, domesticdraft.com. And you can watch our show on YouTube. Just search up Domestic Draft and drop us a sub. Thanks again for listening. Cheers.
Cheers.